Episode-3. Who is Mrs. Taylor? Just as the reporter raised her camera, Rachel quickly raised her hands to cover her face. She wanted to go back into the villa, but someone grabbed her arm tightly. Mrs. Taylor, what is your real identity? When are you going to hold your wedding? How did you and the most popular actor in America, Mr. Joshua Taylor, get to know each other? The reporters moved forward and surrounded her. The way they bombarded her with questions felt as though they would not be satisfied until they find out everything about her. Rachel kept her head down. She realized that even if the butler and security officer managed to escort her back into the villa, the reporters had already taken pictures of her covering her face. And if those pictures appeared alongside Joshua Taylor on the newspaper headlines, remembering his warnings earlier, she was sure she didn't want to take any chances. She couldn't fluster. She definitely needed to protect her identity. Suddenly, she had an idea. Before the caretaker spoke, Rachel stood up straight and lowered her arms slowly, showing her face to the crowd. The reporters immediately started clicking their cameras furiously. However, Rachel gave a pitiful expression and clung on to the caretaker. I was wrong. I've realized my mistake. I promise to never trespass on your house again. I shouldn't have climbed into your house. Please forgive me and give me a chance. I was desperate to get first-hand news as I have to support my family. I really realized my mistake. Just forgive me this once. She had her heart in her mouth as she pleaded while observing the people behind her. The reporters watched a scene unfolding in front of them in confusion. They gradually stopped taking pictures. The caretaker was also stunned, unsure about exactly what was happening. Suddenly, one of the reporters shouted with uncertainty, "Rachel? Is that you?" Someone asked, "Who is Rachel?" "That famous reporter from the Wall Street Journal. Holy shit! She worked so hard just for first-hand news? I admit defeat." After hearing these words, the caretaker lowered her head and saw Rachel continuously blink her eyes at her with her back facing the crowd. The caretaker suddenly realized what Rachel was trying to convey to her. She joined in the act. "Please leave, but we will reserve the rights to pursue the case of your illegal entry into the private property," she said with a straight face. After finishing her sentence, she turned around and slammed the main door. Rachel stood outside the entrance, staring at the cold metal door, and she couldn't help but be impressed. Even the caretaker of the great actor Joshua had amazing acting skills. Seeing that she had finally gotten herself off the hook, Rachel took a cab to the news agency. On the way, she picked up her cell phone and dialed Dr. Walker's number. "Dr. Walker, I'm Ross's sister. Could you please prepare his surgery as fast as possible? The money is ready." After hanging up the phone, she looked dazedly out of the car window. The relaxed expression on her face faded away and was replaced with a grave look. Her brother was her only kin left in this world, so he had to stay alive and well. As for the other things, she could settle them herself. For now, at least, everything seemed to be on track and progressing well. With that in mind, she sat up straight and braced herself for work. She would not admit defeat. But once she arrived at the news agency, her chief editor, who usually did not interact with her, walked to her with a big smile on his face. Her intuition had been right. He was up to something. He said, "Rachel, aren't you famous for being the most hardworking employee in this company? Let me give you a chance to dig up a big piece of news then. No matter what method you use, you must find out who Mrs. Taylor is, or else you can start preparing your resignation letter." Those words hit her like a bolt from the blue.